Yeah. So that is over. The Star Wars Skywalker saga is complete. You could probably hear it. My voice. I'm starting to get sick. But if you could see it in my cheek, the antibiotics are working. Thank you to Joseph. Joseph sent me something that helped speed up the process and helped deal with the things that I had to deal with while not missing Star Wars Episode 9. Um, so I am here. I'm going to talk about Grace Randolph's spoilers. I only saw like the first 25 seconds. I'm like, all right, no. Let me devote an entire thing to this. But if you're around, you've seen it, and you want to discuss spoilers, I got a funny feeling this is going to be my weekend, much like Black Christmas was my weekend last weekend. I'm going to be clearing my throat a lot too, because this is definitely the beginning of a sore throat. What's up, Monkey? What's up, Tim? Long time no see. Some fuck spoiled people. From some fuck spoiled people spoiled the movie already. Well, you still watch the movie. What's up, Pete? What's up, Ben? Um, I'm going to talk about a couple of things, but there's going to be one thing that I really hurt me to see, and it is this fucker. So I'll never get the doing it backwards. This was for sale at the theater that we were eating at, um, and what was the price? The price was expensive. I think between the rewards points that we had gathered up, for those of you who don't know, AMC A list, uh, for every dollar you spend, you get 100 points. So every time you spend $50 in the theater, you get $5 off, and we had a $5 off whatever. So we had enough to get popcorn and soda. And I saw this fucking thing, and I said, "Need, I need this in my house." And I asked how much it was, and when he started with, well, you could have free refills of soda and popcorn all week, I was like, oh, that's gonna be a bad price. All week, because how many people go to the movie theater 6 7 times a week? Yeah, but it does. I was intrigued. I was so thoroughly intrigued. I want it just as a thing to put over there. I want it as a thing to eat and drink out of. I was dying to know how drinks stay cold in the top, yet the popcorn stays warm at the bottom, and how somehow the wetness from the top doesn't get to the hot dryness to the bottom. There's so many different questions I had, but it was $55 after tax, and your boy did not have $55 for uh, a popcorn soda garbage can that looks like R2D2. But it's a shame. It's a shame it's only at the movie theater, because I went, tried to see if somebody else had it. That is a movie theater only thing. I don't know if it's an AMC only thing, but 55. See, 30, I would have, went and robbed somebody or something, but 55 is fucking steep. Just left the movie. I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. It was okay. 3 out of 5. Ben says 3 out of 5. Um, I'm gonna say I need to see it again. My very first. Why aren't you moving? R2. All right, so this is broken. Cool. My very first thoughts are, I need to see more of it, and it's about a 3.5 out of 5 for me. I could see it getting as high as a 4 for me. I really don't think there's too many questions I have, and too many huh moments for me in this movie that I don't think it'll get to a 4.5. I could see it getting down to like a 2.5. I could see it losing a full point down, but not gaining a full point up. But stranger things have happened. I just know I certainly would like to see it again. And now you're not even working at all. Oh shit. As long as you can still hear me. Did you have to pay extra for the popcorn? No. So the catch was you pay the fucking monstrosity for that thing, and you had free soda and free popcorn for a week. That's a thing where if you have enough people with you, you could all chip in and make the cost a little cheaper. But who gets to keep the fucking R2 is the question. John Williams crushed it. He absolutely did crush it. Is this in your top half of your Star Wars ranking? No. As I currently sit, it is not in my top half. That I can say with confidence. Because I just looked at it. You'll have to excuse me as I'm trying to OBS has just this, or is it my computer outright? It's strange. I'm streaming and I can do nothing else. I can't look at anything. I don't know if you could hear me click clack clicking away, but well, this is interesting. This is very interesting. Okay, so it looks like I'm gonna have to shut this down. What I might do, because I know a couple of people have seen it already, we'll get the prettiness down. I want to play this Grace Randolph video. Hopefully, I'm gonna do it the janky old way, the way you riffraff do it. I'm gonna try to do it on what's the dumb app with the duck on it? Quack app. What's the whatever? I'm gonna try to do it with a regular app that doesn't need too much hands-on experience. And then so I'll be down for a minute or two. I just need to restart the computer. And then if you've seen it and you'd like to join me and discuss, by all means. I'm confused. Like I'd like some help with my questions and answers and my theories and whatnot. So what I'm going to do is turn the computer off, and that'll probably kill this stream because no buttons are working. No buttons are working. See, this is why you don't download porn while you're streaming. Yeah, no, what the fuck? Oh, wait, you're working. You're working. Oh, is it the mouse? Oh, the mouse is broked. Okay, so, you know what it is? I gotta replug the mouse. Stupid bullshit. All right, so hold that thought. It wasn't that just yet. Let me get the standby mouse for this. Sorry guys, this is what happens when you produce shit by yourself without somebody else to just do a little hopscotch while you try to buy in time. Okay. All right, so we're all good. What we're going to do, I'm going to react to, well, not react to, but kind of counterpoint, discuss things that I think Grace Randolph is a little off her ass with. Let me see where you are. I'm going to move you now. Now that, where do I want to put you? What part of the chat is the oldest? The top, right? The top part is the oldest. Yeah. So we'll put Grace up there. We'll make her a little bit smaller. Again, spoilers, absolute spoilers. If you're here with it, without actually, can I fit her down here? can't cover this beautiful face. No. If you look at some of the words that she has on her like topics, there's some spoiler shit up there. Your Mac is taking a good look at his friend for the last time. Yeah, just joining up back from Rise. Chelsea, what'd you think of it? You don't have to get too much into it, but a score out of 5 would help. It seemed everybody appears to be around 3, in the neighborhood of 3. I just gave a 3.5. I didn't get into specifics as to where it is ranked. And I don't know, maybe if I watch it again, maybe it'll go higher, maybe it'll go lower. There's a lot to it, and it just, some of it feels messy, some of it feels, corner cutty, lazy. Not lazy. It feels like they're trying to jam a little too much into a small space. 3.5-ish. Yeah. John says 2 out of 5. That's interesting. 4 out of 5. Okay. And I think that's where my ceiling can be. If I watch it again and really enjoy myself, I think I could have a 4. So let's get to Grace Randolph. Grace Randolph, who I've had I haven't had encounters with, but I've been to many a screen. I've been to at least 6 or 7 screenings where she's been there in the city, and 3 or 4 times I felt like walking up to her and saying, like, "Is there extra money in it for you just to be like weird like you are? Because the things you're saying don't make any sense." And of course, I don't do it because I'm not going to ruin my chances of going to watch fucking screeners. Paul says 3 out of 5, 3.5. Yeah. Going to see it again this weekend to finalize my thoughts. Messy for sure. First act was iffy. I could not agree more. John can definitely join you for this. Yeah, when I switch over to the dumb duck thing, let me just get through this. So Grace Randolph, and if there isn't a face to love, I mean, look at, I can't do it. Oh yeah, bring that home to mom or dad. All right, so let's dissect this 29-minute spoiler review with the beautiful backdrop of Manhattan behind her. Here we go.
From now on, you can call me...
Fucking hell. There's another reason, too. At least at the movie, you don't really have to hear somebody talk, but she sounds like a fucking pelican being ripped of its will to live. Fuck.
Grace Skywalker. Don't worry. Luke and Leia's Force ghosts are right off camera, and they're giving me the thumbs up. It doesn't work that way. You just can't take someone else's name like that. Why isn't everyone... Although I guess everyone is kind of using the Force these days, according to Finn. So they're all Skywalkers. Way to dilute the importance of a name.
She was a Palpatine. Of course she didn't want to have the Palpatine name. And she was raised by the Skywalkers when she had her Force strength, when it was known to her, when she was trained in the art of the Force. It was through the Skywalkers, through Luke. Granted, rushedly so through Leia, but those were her true parents as far as the Force is concerned. And her grandfather is Emperor Palpatine. Of course she wants to get herself away from that name. What are you doing?
And also, I would like to keep my own identity, thank you very much, and I think Rey should do the same. Why can't she just be like Cher or Madonna? She doesn't need 2 names.
Yeah, Nancy Hitler. She'll be fine.
She's the last Jedi. Well, how did that happen, too? All right, so anyway, yeah, we have a lot to discuss. And speaking of Rey, what the heck did Finn want to say to her, right?
He has 8.
We never found out, although it was awfully transparent. We all know, which just makes it all the more awkward and embarrassing for not just the one, But the two alternate love interests that this trilogy has inexplicably tried to give Finn, after first making it seem like he was going to be with Rey, and then not only did they give him these alternate female love interests, and one male possible love interest, but also they then have him reject.
Do we know that there were possible love interests, or was it perhaps just somebody trying to ship the characters? Possible male love interest? Was there anything about that character that led you believe that he was possibly homosexual? I'm genuinely saying that. I'm not saying that as some sort of, as like a gotcha thing. If there were homosexual tendencies that Finn was giving off, please let me know. I'd like to educate myself on them. He just seemed, if there ever was a moment, it felt like he was kind of being flirtatious with Rey in Part 7, where he was asking her if she's got a cute boyfriend. That's it. Other than that, Rose Tico, he was hanging out with her. There was no whatever. Rose, when she saved him at the end of 8, gave him a kiss. I mean, if you're going to judge the Star Wars franchise based on things like that, then why didn't Luke and Leia just fuck already? Because, man, they kissed too. Hate to sound sexist there, Grace, but not everybody has to fuck.
Both of them. It's like really weird. Although John Boyega has proven to be such a loose cannon at this point that maybe Finn was supposed to like one of them, but on set, John Boyega, when they come to film the scene, he's like, nope, if it's not the leading lady, I don't want it. And I don't blame him. Stick to your guns, Finn. You were promised the leading lady. It is weird that they would have him like bring it up as a running, like he would try and say something before he died. They would make it a running gag, which I thought was effective in the film. I liked it. I liked when Poe Dameron was on fire in this movie, and he came up and he's like, "Oh, you want to wait until Poe's not around?"
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Finn live? What is she talking about before he died?
And then he asked him again later, and he was like, "What? You gonna save it?" It was so good. But then not to let us know. I mean, I guess because, again, it was obvious. But then it just points to those other problems. All right, so let's discuss Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, with spoilers. There's so much to cover. I'm going to be referring to my notes as I discuss it. Because not only is there a lot, but it's just so disjointed and all over the place. So it doesn't even have, like, there's not an organic flow to the actual story. So it's hard to, like, have a flow to the conversation about it. Except if you're, let the anger flow through you.
You talk like you do, there is no flow.
Talking about this movie. I liked when Rey got really angry. I was like, I've been there, Rey. I really thought that was great. I think anger, is this when they were discussing, I think somewhere recently, it was like, I thought I was angry, but Watchmen. I thought,
what did she mean?
Justice was saying, I thought I was angry, but it was actually fear. That was very interesting. And I kind of put that on this a little bit. I don't think you should be I think anger, as long as you don't let it consume you, it's not that bad. I wanted Rey to be a great Jedi. We're going to get to it. We'll talk about it. But I'm basically going to go through the big reveals, and some of the characters will be covered in that. But then if they're not, we'll go character by character afterwards. And of course, as always, there are chapter times where you can jump, via the links in the video description to anything you want to talk about right now. All right, so what I want to talk about first is the big reveal that infuriated me, and that was the return of Han Solo.
Why?
It's apparently gotten out because people have asked me about it online and in real life. What in real life?
Because online is this fake world.
Now, after I've seen the movie, and I'm like, how did you know Han Solo was in there? I mean, I knew most of the surprises in this film, but this one, genuinely, I was like, what? And I think it made me even angrier. So he came back as a regular ghost. He's not like a Force ghost or anything, although he wasn't see-through at all. He just looked like Harrison Ford standing there. And he apparently gives Kylo Ren the excuse that Kylo Ren was waiting for to go back to being Ben Solo. He was like, finally, thanks, Pops. I stabbed you, and why did it take you so long to forgive me? I'm like, he should never forgive him. Because I'm never going to forgive Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford wanted out of this franchise so badly, but he'll take the franchise's money, that he insisted on a totally rushed and inappropriate ending for Han Solo. So you can't come back after that. You want it out? Bye. Bye-bye. And also, it made me feel like this was Disney trying to make up for the original trio never getting to have a scene together in any of these new movies. They just sprinkled them throughout this one. And it's like, no! It's still not what we wanted, and I'm not going to let you make up for that. No!
One of them died. Shit happens.
Harrison Ford, I was just as upset when he first stepped down on that platform 4 years ago, when this whole mess started. And I think Harrison Ford, to me, is the symbol of the decisions being made for this franchise, not what benefits it creatively, but how the people who are making it personally feel, what they want Star Wars to be. They know better. They made a mistake, let them fix it in a sloppy, ineffective way. So those are the people who are wrongly entrusted with this franchise, and it's very upsetting. I wish they had given Star Wars to people who actually like Star Wars. That's something to think about going forward.
Who the fuck are you?
Maybe that's why The Mandalorian. I still think The Mandalorian isn't a home run either. To me,
go
still
fuck
Rogue
yourself.
One is the best. So I'm very excited.
Fucking show's
about
incredible.
Tony Gilroy returning to do a Cassian Andor and K2SO Disney
Do you have to
Plus
check their
series.
names
And
there,
I have
sweetheart?
high hopes for the Obi-Wan one as well, especially with Deborah Chow in the director's,
Yeah, but they're not fans.
the showrunner seat. All right, so anyway, let's talk about some of the old characters first. So Luke Skywalker, yes, he does show up, but he never gets his lightsaber battle. He still kind of has a bad attitude. I did like when his hand stuck out from the burning, Kylo Ren's ship that looks like a TIE fighter. And he was like, don't throw your lightsaber. Everyone was chucking lightsabers left and right. We'll talk about that a little later in the review. But he was like, don't throw this away yet. And so that surprised me. I was like, oh, that was kind of cool. He knew how to make an entrance. And also when he raised the X-Wing, I thought that was nice.
Like,
it seemed like it was swamp-like, of course, being in the swamp when he trained with Yoda. But here, this wasn't a swamp; it was this island. But it had some stuff on it, had some schmutz on the X-Wing. That was kind of cool. But then, it was interesting. That was one of the few points in the movie where Rey didn't look cool, right? I guess also because I was like, how much like Luke Skywalker are you going to get? This is ridiculous.
Holy fuck. The first thing she does when we get a moment alone with her is she puts on a fucking TIE fighter, not a TIE fighter, a rogue helmet. She puts on a helmet from the X-Wing fighters while she eats her liquid bread. It is the fucking wrapping up of her character. She puts the helmet on as she's eating. She's dreaming of a better world, a better future. And here she is, full fucking circle, wearing the helmet, about to save the day. You dumb cunt. You don't know what you're talking about.
Side note, though, speaking of pilots, John Williams had a cameo as a pilot at the very end in the big finale. Wasn't that cool? He was like, nice flying. I was like, who is that? He looked familiar. And then in the credits, it was like John Williams. And I was like, oh, John Williams!
And it was like, and then I was like,
always watch the pilots closely in a Star Wars movie, because chances are they're somebody. All right, so Lando, he had really no role at all. And he didn't talk to anyone. When Rey was like, tell Leia yourself to say hi. Lando should have retorted, Kathleen Kennedy won't let me. Thank you very much. I was like, don't hold that against Lando. He would love to. And then as for Leia, I talked a lot about that in my non-spoiler review, how they just could not splice in this old footage effectively, and it didn't work, and there was such a large chunk of the movie. I think it hurt the film. It was one of the many things that hurt the film.
I'll agree and disagree. It's far better than Sopranos. If you watch Sopranos, I think season 3 it is when they shoehorn the mom's face onto the body. It's just bad, and like the lines really don't fit. The lines, sure, they seem a little shoehorned here by Carrie Fisher, but they're not that bad. They don't have any weight to them. It's not like she's delivering any message that you can hang the 9th film on. But they built enough of a bridge to get you to an ending for her and the movie. You got to take what you got, and she's deceased. You're not gonna CGI shit. Like fucking totally do a Rogue One. This it's not the greatest, but your hands are tied behind your back, so I can't award points, nor can I take them away.
But then, of course, we can talk about here how she disappeared under the blanket when she disintegrated after dying, right?
Spoiler. All right, we're spoilers.
In 1977,
Wow.
I met a French
Make
chef.
that paper, lady.
He said to me, cooks cook.
Nope.
I thought that was like really anticlimactic. And I think she could have reached out to her son a long time ago. She's like, I guess it's time. And you're like, now it's time? What about when, couldn't you keep him from killing your husband? She's like, Han left me. I wasn't really too nervous about what was going to happen to Han, quite frankly.
Plus, she's been dead for 2 whole years. So.
But yeah, Leia in this whole trilogy has never seemed like the Leia from the original. None of the characters have. Luke, Han, and Leia have never seemed like the Luke, Han, and Leia
People
from the original.
grow
I guess Lon would be their couple name, right? I think Heya sounds a little bit better. But anyway, they haven't ever been what they were like in the original trilogy, which is why I think they also we haven't felt that satisfaction of seeing them again. All right, so let's talk about some of the big surprises. So Rey Palpatine, right? They're like, what's your family name? Careful what you wish for. It's Palpatine. I knew that. I'd have been
Like,
spoiled.
is this a shtick that she's doing where she just kind of like, oh, by the way, here's a thing? I haven't watched this girl in forever. And
A long time ago. So when they said it in the movie, there was like, also, I think everyone knew it. There was no reaction when he was like, you're a Palpatine. And everyone, just dead silence from the press screening. No one was like, everyone was just like, yeah, we know. And also,
we've been hearing about this
whatever.
for 4 years.
So the Emperor, of course, is alive, which they showed immediately at the beginning of the movie. And he's on a crane. I kind of liked him being on a crane. He was like, it was like a Death Eater from Harry Potter, right? With a walker. That was kind of what it was.
He was being
But I liked
suspended.
the way he kind of like moved around on the end of the crane with his cloak kind of
was
swaying
being
in the wind because he had no
suspended.
legs. I thought that was kind of funny. But also, I was wondering how he made that fleet at the beginning of the movie that he rose up out of the ice. I was like, where did that come from? How many people are on this planet working with you?
Ice.
How did you build so many starships?
There was like a stadium full of people in
impossible to me,
cloaks.
quite frankly. Because what does he have, a VFX team there? He just goes, it's easy.
There was a stadium full of people in cloaks.
Copy and duplicate them and just have them go on forever. I'm like, you had to actually build those. It's like, and where did you get the raw materials to build so many things? It was crazy to me. He's like, this is actually a hollow planet after we've mined it. Also, speaking of things they made there, when Kylo Ren first came in, you saw those Snoke clones, right? Like in a jar, Snoke's in a jar, and I was like, whatever, I don't care. Like any other franchise, you'd be like, what's that mean? And here you're like, keep walking. I don't even want to go there. I don't want to open that jar, Snokes. And then also it reminded me, where were our Rey clones? I much preferred the idea that Rey was a clone.
How often do you think she's at like a shindig where she's actually making jokes in the corner with the bartender because people have kind of started talking to her and said, "Oh, yeah, you've got this shtick about you. I'm gonna go ahead and talk to some assistant directors somewhere. You're on a different level."
She would come across other Rey clones, but instead,
Sometimes
evil Rey
annoying.
from the trailers was just a vision, as some people had
Maurice,
predicted.
she's-
Darn it, you were
she's
right. It's
unbearable.
nothing. Although I did like her little sharp teeth when she hissed for a moment. I was like, that's pretty cool. And then we never saw her again. I was like, want to have another Nightmare Rey? This movie could use it. Although, speaking of Rey's past, they revealed her parents, and her father was the son of Palpatine. Like what? Palpatine Jr., Joe Palpatine, like who? Like talk about like
'Cause
he never
Joe's a
amounted to
regular
anything.
name.
But he didn't want to. He didn't want to be his father's son. But he married Jodie Comer, which was so cool. The non-Palpatine made the biggest impression, and kudos to Jodie Comer for making such a strong impression. Not just for being Jodie Comer, she did a great job with like 2 fleeting scenes. She was
And who was the male in that scene? You fucking waif.
great. It's weird though that it was the son. It was the son of Palpatine, and they didn't really give him any lines, and they focused just on the mom. I was like, shouldn't you focus on the line of Palpatine?
Yeah, Joe
Maybe? All right.
Palpatine.
Or maybe at least you're gonna
What if his name was Keith Palpatine? That'd be crazy. Get it? Because it's like so normal, but it's like a Palpatine. Oh man, I have fun.
Or being like, I can't believe I married into the Palpatine family. How did you think that was gonna go? All right, so Rey, of course, being a Palpatine, had Force lightning, which was amazing. I really liked that sequence. I liked the hand acting when she was trying to hold the ship. I really felt the strain. I was like, this is amazing. Daisy Ridley has really cool hands. I like them. They're like gender neutral, you know, and I think that's partially how she handles
Now
herself.
hands are gender neutral.
She's very interesting. I think she did a really interesting job with Rey. But I thought that was great. I thought the way that whole sequence with pulling the transport down and her just being so angry, and she's like, "Quit stalking me, Kylo Ren," and it particularly bothers me because I kind of like you too. It was great. I thought that all that stuff was really excellent.
How
and then
old
she just
is this
erupted
girl?
with the lightning. I thought that was one of the
Her
coolest scenes in the
adaptation
movie
is
to
that
me.
of
My
somebody
other
who's
favorite
13.
scene was when she took on Palpatine at the end. And Palpatine had a pretty good light show himself. He was like, "Oh, look at this, hold my space beer." I was like, that's pretty cool.
Hold my
and Rey was just looking
space
up at it
beer?
being like, I've had enough of this boy. But then when she went up against
This
him,
woman is a professionally paid film critic. I'm dying to know what her degree, like what I mean, you could see behind her, unless those are at the offices of whatever establishment she works at. She's doing okay for herself, and God, I hope it's from being married to a far, far more intelligent, more successful person, because if this is bringing in money, this type of film criticism, everybody else who wants to try, just run full speed into a wall, because it's over, kids. It's over.
all the Sith versus all the Jedi. That was a pretty cool line. I like that exchange. And I didn't care for the voices, though. Some of you were like, oh, it's my favorite voice. I couldn't tell anything what the voices are. They're all mixed together. They didn't say anything particularly interesting. I couldn't tell. I was just like, oh, yeah, there's a lot of people in there. I could tell, like, Luke, and that was it.
I fucking hate you.
But I did like when she crossed the two lightsabers against the lightning, and she was walking towards him. She did a little Wonder Woman, right, with the crossing the
I
light.
couldn't make out multiple voices, but when she took the two lightsabers and made an X, that was cool. Oh, man. I love movies.
Instead of the arms. But I thought that was really cool, and I thought that she did that physicality.
This woman is a certifiable dingbat. She is fucking glittered paper in human form. You know that stupid shit that you send to people on Easter? Like, I was thinking of you, so let me spray it with perfume, and then voila, I'm thinking of you. That's what Grace Randolph is. Grace Randolph is that shitty pastel fucking glittered paper that you send somebody on Easter just because you're a shallow cunt.
We don't do that on Easter. Is that an American?
Well, in this country, fucking clowns who are constantly at the age of 13 do, and this girl screams it. You ever think I'll get an interview with her?
Really well. That was very believable. I just thought it was excellent. Really, really, I thought visually stunning. Loved it. Really well executed. But then at the end, I thought
Ben's asking out of 5. What do you give Rise?
I'd say it's like a 6 or 7. It was pretty good.
That's not out of 5. Oh, so a 3 or 3.5.
Yeah. Sorry.
Which is I gave it a 3.5. So we're about the same mindset, oddly enough. But I definitely want to see it again, one way or another. If it's worse, so be it. If it's a little bit better, so be it. I honestly think, because when I left, I had more concerning thoughts where I was like, wait a minute, what about this? Wait a minute, what about this? Where if I go back and watch and one way or another find out, if there's no explanation for some of those holes, it might be an even 3 or even drop down to a 2.5. I want to do it before I do my Star Wars ranking, but I digest.
Some people are saying she got a white lightsaber, which would make me very happy because, of course, that's the saber of the Grey Jedi, who are both, Jedi and Sith. They're both good and bad. But it looked like a yellow lightsaber to me. Maybe it was just the light of Tatooine, but it looked like a yellow lightsaber. I was like, yellow? That's like not only is it not a white lightsaber, but that's a horrible color. She should be like, I need to go to the shop at Galaxy's Edge and build me a new lightsaber. Maybe that's why they're having everyone throw their lightsabers away. They're like, go build another one at Galaxy's Edge. And then she took the Skywalker name, which I thought was ridiculous. I really didn't like that at all. And she, of course, went to their old home, and I was like, stop it with the nostalgia. I can't take it anymore. The Ewoks showing up. You're like, this is ridiculous.
Is that what
and
you
then
were
also,
like?
as I said, the idea that anyone can tap into the Force. So being a Jedi apparently means nothing, right? Everyone gets a participation Force award. And then also, what about that kid from the end of the last Jedi, right? Who could like clean with the Force? What happened there? And why can Finn kind of tap into the Force? And apparently the Force was talking to all these stormtroopers. Apparently the Force is just another word for doing the right thing, right? I guess that makes it a little sexier, right? I mean, like, doing the right thing seems a little boring, but if the Force is telling me to do it, well then, I am the chosen.
The Force is everywhere. That is fucking... What is that? Which movie where they literally say that in a film, that the Force is everywhere? It's everything.
I think it was episode 5.
Episode 5?
They say it in a couple of the films.
The Force is everywhere.
Luke says it in episode 8.
Yeah, Luke says... That's right. Luke says... We just crash coursed it. This dumb slag.
I'm an expert.
Emily's an expert. Oh, for fuck. Thank God she's paid to cover film. 22,968 views on this video. 867,000 loyal subscribers that say, please, Grace, fill my brain with your nonsense.
One if everyone's chosen. All right, so Reylo. Let's talk about Reylo. I love Reylo. I'm a big Reylo fan. Even though he killed her mentor, that was pretty bad. But you can't deny the chemistry between Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley. It's off the charts nuts. I read a review from someone else, I think it was the Hollywood Reporter, where they said it was weird that Kylo Ren was so obsessed with Rey and having her rule with him and them being a pair. And I was like, no, are you kidding? That's an amazing chemistry. That doesn't come along all the time. I think, of course, he would be. I think they were both really like, what is this something? That to me works.
He merely proposed to her that they rule the galaxy together. There was no chemistry. There wasn't like any back and forth. They just fucked up a room full of people and he said, let's rule the galaxy together. It's not like, they were in a room and there was tension and you could just feel it, that things were going on. Stop trying to high school relationship everything. Ugh.
And I like their Force connection. I think it's really interesting. All their scenes together to me were fantastic. I loved when they talk on the Force. I think it's super sexy. I liked also when he grabbed the necklace off of her, and that set up, of course, when she handed him the lightsaber later. We'll get to that in a moment. That was so cool. I liked also when he was like, where are you right now? We were like, she's on your ship. She's in your bedroom. Oh, she's reading your diary, Kylo. But, she kind of was. And then when he saw the mask, he was like, I know where you are. That was awesome. And then when he confronted her on the ship, then she jumped onto the Millennium Falcon using the Force. And, and the wind was coming from the Millennium Falcon. And all the stormtroopers were blown away. But Kylo was able to stand firm. I was like, that guy's so cool. It was great. Now, they never really... And I liked their lightsaber battle quite a bit. I liked how they were flipping around. I liked how they were trying to test each other, but also holding back because they liked each other. It was great. It was a really great lightsaber battle, and that's what's been missing from this new trilogy. And so I really thought it was fantastic.
I was like, I like that.
Them, and they're like, I don't want to do this because I don't trust myself
shot every
around
time
you.
she
And
says,
then
you'll be
killed
fucking
him. She had the
blasted.
nerve to do it with his own lightsaber, but then she healed him by giving some of her own life. We'll talk about how that was turned around in a moment.
No, we won't, apparently.
Watch carefully.
Nope.
But I thought that was great. And then when she said to him, I did want to take Ben's hand. I mean, that was great stuff. Great stuff. But but as for their bond, I don't think they ever really did a good job explaining it. They said something, Kylo said something about, well, we both have evil relatives, but we both have good relatives. And I was like, that's all it takes? A lot of people then could probably get in on this party line. But I did like when they handed off the lightsaber with, facing off against, he was facing off against the Knights of Ren and she was facing off against Palpatine. The way
There's no bond between them. They have similarities. They have a similar struggle. There's no bond. Again, there's no sort of tension between their experience, their relationship. It's just they have similar struggles from opposite ends of the spectrum. It's not a bond.
Did that. I just thought it was cool. Although, when they had the flashback to Luke and Leia practicing with their lightsabers, he clearly had a green saber and Leia had a blue, but then they both had blue when they went to fight Palpatine. I was like, this lightsaber color thing is not working out. And also, again, back to the lightsabers, here's where I had in my notes about the chucking of the lightsabers. He throws his lightsaber into the ocean. Luke threw his lightsaber over the cliff, right? She buries the lightsabers. I'm like, again, aren't these hard to come by? And I did think it was funny that when Ben decided to, also, his costume seemed less cool this movie. Like, he looked like he was walking around in a rain poncho when he was Kylo Ren. And then when he took off the poncho, he looked like he just had a crew neck sweater on. I was like, casual day, eh, Kylo? I am happy they kissed. As a fan of Reylo, I'm very happy. I was literally on the edge of my seat because they did a really good job dragging it out. And I got scared they weren't going to kiss. I was like, are you kidding me? If you're going to do Reylo, do Reylo. But they finally did, and I was so happy. I thought it was a very good kiss. It was very romantic. But then he died, and it made me so angry. I was like, this is very unsatisfying. And he didn't even come back as a ghost.
Is that what you
to
were
be like,
like?
hey, I would have liked to, if you're going to redeem Kylo Ren, let them be a cool new couple. And then that's the story I maybe would be interested in continuing.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet's got shit on
But as
them.
is, I don't have any interest in following just Rey by herself. I think it's interesting. I think Rey and Kylo Ren make each other more interesting as characters. And if you get rid of one of them,
and make them develop a relationship where they kiss and fuck and have 3 kids, and then Ben runs off on child support, and then Rey's got to chase him down, but then he dies. That's what I want to see. I want to see 3 years of his stretched out relationship that just turns to utter fuck nuggets.
Didn't we just watch that movie?
We did just watch that movie, except it was Scarlett Johansson.
you're less interested in the other. But at least we got that. That's, to me, I think the Kylo Ren and Rey.
She wants Star Wars to be Degrassi.
Although I do like the Finn and Poe stuff too. We'll get to that. So as for Ben Solo, after Undercover Boss, that segment they did
That's
on
SNL.
Saturday Night Live.
No, get out.
There's always a comedic
Get
element,
out.
I think, to his portrayal of Kylo
Get
Ren.
out.
I love that he's like, General Hux, I sense you have a problem with the way I look. And General Hux is like, no, that's a great helmet. I love it. That was hilarious. I felt very bad that they got rid of General Hux. I thought it was hilarious when he said,
You're referencing something that has nothing to do with the canon of this universe. The SNL bit is an SNL bit for NBC. You're referencing that SNL bit like it's a part of this canon, a part of this Lucasfilm universe. You fucking flake. That has nothing to do with it. Your brain is saying, oh, remember that thing that we saw on the TV once? this is like that. No.
I am the spy. My whole audience laughed. It was so funny. I mean, he's an over-the-top character, but that's kind of the beauty of it. He's ridiculous, but also very dangerous at the same time. I liked when he said, I don't care if you win. I just want Kylo Ren to lose. I think that's another character I would have liked to have stuck around. I think he's great. And the way he was killed was just so unceremonious. I mean, they keep so many people around as prisoners, just because so they can, like Chewie. Like, Chewie was captured for like a hot second, right? Like, take him to interrogation room 6 and make sure you wait a ridiculously long time to start said interrogation so he can be rescued. Why not put General Hux in interrogation room 5? So that was funny. But Kylo Ren with the Knights of Ren, that was just a waste. As I talked about in my non-spoiler review, the whole reason this character works, I think, is because of Adam Driver, and because they used the Zuko model from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Too hot
Knights
to be
of Ren
evil,
shit
right? You're like, it's the
may
same
as
thing
well
that
not
kind of
have
happened
been-
with the Winter Soldier. You're like, although of course,
may as well have not been in the film. The Knights of Ren thing almost felt like it was just put there like, see, here it is. It's that thing. All right, not anymore now. Now we're not going to talk about it. The Knights of Ren thing just really felt like it was just fan service, unnecessary.
They redeemed that character first in the comics, but you're like, we have to redeem him. He can't be evil. He's too hot. But I thought that was great. So then, as for Rey and Ben's relationship, as I said, that should have been the focus of the whole time. And they kind of had a twin element going on, a little bit like Luke and Leia, down to the incestuous stuff, right? And I didn't like the Luke and Leia flashback. It was so fleeting. It was just an excuse to do more Terminator Dark Fate VFX. They took off their helmets and they're like, look, it looks kind of like digital Luke and kind of like digital Leia. And you're like, stop trying to make up for what you didn't do. But I didn't like that Leia.
And when would you have them do it? In 1990, 1994.
It never became a real Jedi. They always try and sell that Leia, they're like, oh yeah, she has a link to the Force. She did the Mary Poppins thing in the last movie. And you're like, in or out?
It's so weird. She wants people to kiss, but when there's literally an actor that's deceased and they weren't able to shoot something with the deceased actor, she's like, I really wish they hadn't done it this way. Because life isn't fair and this person should be alive so that they can film this 13-second thing that I want to see. Then they can go back to being dead because I want movie.
Jedi or not. And I didn't like that she's like, she stopped training because she could sense that her son would go, something bad would happen to her son if she did. I'm like, well, newsflash, it happened anyway, so you might as well have been a cool Jedi in the process. And maybe she could have fought her own son. That would have been awesome. But no! Also, it could have been a cool movie about, a trilogy about, forget Rey, why don't you just have Leia and Han, and then Luke is the uncle trying to save Ben. That could have been cool too.
Yeah.
But no, we don't do that either.
Yeah, we could have had one about Jar Jar just being a zombie too. That would have been cool, right? Not talking, but just being a zombie. I could make up shit about things that are kind of in the Star Wars universe that kind of would be a better idea too. How are you a film critic?
The next, another reveal was that Jannah and all those people on those stupid horses, they're horses. I don't care what you do to them in post. They're horses. They're ex-stormtroopers, right? So first off, I didn't understand why she was so dedicated to Finn, who she just met. She was like, I'll take you on this skiff across these waves. It'll surely kill us. I'll go down with the ship with you. I'm like, Jannah, you just met this guy. I'd be like, good luck, buddy.
Is that what you would be like?
Although I thought Finn was much more charismatic in this movie. But then also, so what's the reveal here? All stormtroopers are reluctant, right? Is that why they're bad? Are stormtroopers bad on purpose because they were drafted and this is their way of being a conscientious objector? Then I feel bad about killing them after all these movies when they were in fact trying to help you. Like they're like, nobody could be that bad. We're trying to let you escape, dummy. I mean, I thought that was weird. I mean, stormtroopers have been one of the coolest elements of Star Wars. I love seeing stormtroopers.
Can somebody
march,
bring me up Grace Randolph's Rotten Tomatoes
now
score
they're
on
just
this,
making
please?
them a joke. All right, speaking of jokes, Zori Bliss. What a waste of Kerry Russell. I'm a big Kerry Russell fan after The Americans, but here, she just did nothing. Although you can really tell her voice. She has a very distinct voice. That one moment when she was talking to Poe, and she took away her eye visor so she could really look him in the eye, right? I was like, way to put on a lot of eye makeup there, Zori Bliss. She's like, well, it's the feature that only can be exposed to the public. That and her hair. I don't know if it was bothering anyone else, but she had wisps of hair coming out of her helmet when she opened the front. And I was like, when you close the helmet up, is the hair going to be sticking out of the helmet? Like, what's happening? And they obviously did it to make her seem,
So, in film school, in film classes, they tell you things like if you're focusing on minuscule things, like if something's shot a certain way, if somebody's hair is a certain way, for one take, and then the camera switches, and then we go back to the other take, and the hair is slightly different in the second shot, you're not paying attention to the story. It happens in film. I mean, granted, unless they were wearing like a blonde wig in the second shot, and it was a brunette wig the first time, there aren't going to be perfect takes for everything, and things like that shouldn't be thought of. They say that if you're noticing stupid little bullshit like that in film, you're not really paying attention to the story.
More like a romantic love interest in the scene, but it was really bothering me from like how it would work in real life situation. And then also, speaking of a romantic interest, I don't know why she kept talking to Poe if she wasn't going to kiss him. I mean, the first time, I don't know. I mean, it looked bad. I don't know why she couldn't
All
give
she fucking cares about is if they fucking kiss.
him a goodbye kiss. I thought that was very nice. And then she was like, no. But then later, it was funny when he was like, how about now? But then I thought that was funny. But then I thought it was weird when she was still like, no. I was like, maybe the helmet is stuck on there. And that's the real problem, right? I don't know. I thought that was weird. But I did like her little droid mechanic buddy. He was adorable. He's like, hey! I thought he was great. He's a little like a minion. Much better than the alien who gave them the transmission from the spy at the beginning, who looked like the mime Pokemon from that movie. Then as for Rose Tico, they've worked so hard to try and support her with the fan community and its Star Wars celebration, but then they undercut her by giving her no role in the movie. I thought that was ridiculous. She went to the premiere, everyone's like, yeah, support Rose Tico, except in the movie where it matters. I thought that was ridiculous.
Man, she should have kissed
And then
somebody.
they had, let's talk about
In
peas.
1977, I met a French chef. He said to me, cooks
the lesbian kiss. J.J. Abrams is patting himself on the back for adding. He's like, hey, you can't insult the movie. I put a lesbian kiss in it. And you're like, it was a bad, stupid one that only works because of the Hallmark controversy that just happened. That makes it seem like a bigger deal than it would have probably originally been. Who was that character? They had her do that line about, you can't talk to the general right now because she's dead. Now, that's the only reason she delivered that line. So later you'd be like, oh, yeah,
Rotten
that
Tomatoes
lady.
scores 56.
But it wasn't a wide shot in a big group with a big group, and it's easily
If there was
cut for
more
the foreign
kissing, it
market.
would be
So, don't go there if you're not going to go there. That's time on screen that could have been given to somebody else who desperately needed it.
Yeah, we need some fucking
Let's talk about Finn
scissoring
and Poe.
in our
I loved
Star
Finn and
Wars.
Poe. I thought it was funny they co-generaled. I thought that was hilarious. And that was one of my favorite moments where Poe was like, I can't do this without you. I want you to be my co-general. And Finn was trying to tell him something else, but he stops for a second and he goes, thank you for that. I thought that was great. They had such a good repartee. I liked light speed skipping. I've seen a couple of people criticize it, but I thought that was really thrilling at the beginning of the movie. I loved when they jumped. It was a lot of work to get a transmission. I was like, you couldn't have emailed that to me? But I guess they needed a hard line. But it seemed like a ridiculous risk.
What?
But I liked when they light speed jumped out of that system, right? And the TIE fighters light speed jumped after them. I was like, oh, this is awesome. That was very cool. And I liked going from place to place with the skipping. It worked for me. I thought it was neat. I thought both of them were hilarious, Finn and Poe. I loved when they were playing against Chewie and they were talking to each other. Again, their banter. Fantastic. He cheats. Oh, we're not going to turn it off. And then they turned it off. It was so funny. And I liked, speaking of funny, but not in a good way, Poe for 2 movies now has been like, I want to lead. And he finally got to lead, and he got so many people killed. He seemed like a very bad leader to me. I think Leia should have picked someone else. But he was squeaky wheel gets the grease. Somebody else should have whined about being a leader for 2 movies, and maybe they would have gotten the job. Now, speaking of people getting killed, again, so many people got killed. Like, they have that shot of the starship exploding and Richard E. Grant gets blown out the front window. But there were a lot of other people on the ship with him that we just saw. And it was weird thinking that so many people followed the First Order. All those ships in that fleet had to be manned that Palpatine created. That's a lot of people they're not automated. So that's a lot of people who are willing to join the First Order or whatever. And, also there are a lot of people on the rebellion side. And, Richard E. Grant was like, where'd they get such a big fleet? And his his underling was like, they're just people. They're not just people. They're people who happen to have starships manned with guns. So it's not even like a Dunkirk situation where they just had like boats that weren't military. I mean, like, they can fire back.
How do you know?
I mean, it's a little bit political for me. It's a little bit seems like pro-gun, but then also it's weird. It's like pro-gun, but it also seems like anti-Trump at the same time. I'm like, I don't want any of that in a Star Wars movie. It's a fantasy. Also, it's bothered me for the whole trilogy.
It's fucking space with these giant pro-gun, anti-Trump. What are you talking about? All right, I tap out. With 2 minutes to go, I tap out. I'm going to hit the lavatory, and then I'm going to switch this setup here to where I'll talk about a whole bunch of things that hopefully are movie related and have nothing to do with any of this shit. Because whether or not people kissed, I'll be honest, didn't strike my mind at all, like at all. I wasn't keeping track of how many people nearly kissed and who looked great together, and oh man, her hair was sticking out of her helmet. None of that crossed my mind. So if you've seen the movie and you want to join me for a little spoiler, what the fuck happened? I'll be doing the less pretty version, the easier hands-on, the Hangouts replacement to streaming. So get yourself ready, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Toodles.